Most people believe that the law of assumption is just about positive thinking, but the truth is that it goes way beyond that. And as someone who has read so much of Neville Goddard, learned so much from him, and still struggled, unfortunately, with the law of assumption, something that I decided to bring in is some of the science, like specifically the neuroscience. And once I married the two worlds, it made the resistance, any form of resistance to law of assumption, dissipate. And if you are someone who wants to really embody the law of assumption and to release any form of resistance, like you set an assumption and it becomes true, this could be the video that completely alters how you manifest, for lack of better words. Like it's a game changer. It's a complete game changer. So I'm going to timestamp everything that I share with you below. And I really encourage you to listen to each part because it compounds on the next. And of course, if you are new here and we don't know each other, welcome. Hi, my name is Atena, and on this channel we learn to love ourselves unconditionally and we manifest our dream realities. So if that is something you're interested in, you should consider subscribing. I got my notes here because this process of explaining the science with the law of assumption, I need to streamline it. If not, this video is going to go all over the place. Trust, because I filmed it once before and I was like, that was a lot of stuff that I said. So as we're diving into it, let's just get really super clear on what the law of assumption is. And it's a manifestation technique where you alter your inner state of being. You really embrace an assumption and you allow it to be true for you, and it changes who you know yourself to be. And as Neville Goddard says, your assumption to be effective cannot be a single isolated act. It must be a maintained attitude of the wish fulfilled. Specifically, let's highlight the word attitude, because that is a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something, typically one's behavior, struggles. Written right there. Typically one that is reflected in a person's behavior. So you make an assumption to bring into your life and you think and feel and act like the person who has that assumption. So if your assumption, for instance, is I live with the love of my life, then you act, think, you breathe like that person, even if that person is not yet in your life, right? So perhaps you will start taking care of yourself better, because if you're living with a partner, I was actually talking about this with someone today, and we were talking about, I just did a full body laser treatment, and the person was saying, yeah, well, I don't have a boyfriend, so I just like let things slide. Okay, that's fine. Like, no judgment on my end. However, if you are in a place where you are in your desired partnership, right? That's the assumption. That's what you're bringing in. Are you going to just let things slide? No, you would probably like want to take care of your hygiene. You want to take care of your aesthetic. You show up for that. So you have your standards, and yeah, that's probably the simplest way I could put it. And it's the same thing, like for me, for instance, it's a lot of it, my assumptions are now focused on my business because I'm in the space where I desire to grow my business and really know myself more as a financially savvy person. And there's a lot of volumes of doubt that come into my mind. But like just the other day, I had to prepare something for my accountant and I felt like this heavy load on me. And at some point I really had to catch myself and take like a bunch of deep breaths and say, hang on, if I am that person with this business that I have in my mind and I assume it to be true, how does she take care of her finances? And so my thoughts and feelings are going to start aligning with that and taking different actions, and really even at night, like journaling at night and remembering the identity of that person. So, I feel it might be important for me anyways to share with you guys here that when you have the assumption, there are different things that you can bring into the mix, like whether that is robotic affirmations, whether that is journaling, whether that is using hypnosis, which, by the way, I taught you, okay? I'll link the video again below, but you know how to hypnotize yourself right now. Having methods that you bring on, even though the law of assumption is technically a manifestation method, I like to combine methods, and we have a whole video on what's the best manifestation method. I'll link that video below, but at the end of the day, it comes down to what works for you. So if it's so easy for you to assume, if it was easy for you to assume something to be true, I highly doubt you'd be even watching this video unless you love me, which thank you. But like, I'm assuming that you're here because you struggle with your assumptions. So sometimes combining these techniques with whatever works for you is great. Like, one thing that I have been loving is doing mirror work and doing affirmations and tapping in front of the mirror. I have noticed such a much more rapid manifestation with my assumptions since I do that. And if you want me to share my technique with you below, comment mirror manifestation. Tell me about your mirror manifestation methods, Atena. Okay, so now that we understand, we've always understood what the law of assumption was, but it's just good to always polish it up. What I really want to bring to the forefront of your mind is what's happening in your brain, because when we understand what's happening in the brain, we can stop taking everything so personal. And I say this because it's like, and comment below if you relate to this, like honestly, and I feel like I've spoken about this on the channel before, but when you set an assumption and you desire to bring it in, if it doesn't happen right away and there's disappointment, and we're going to talk about disappointment later in this video because that's a huge piece, you start to take things personal. You start to say things like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do it? Other people do it. And it's like, okay, so you failed, like you're disappointed, or it didn't work out the way you thought. Like, okay, but if you keep taking it personal, you're going to fight yourself. Whereas your brain is always trying to protect you. It always wants you to stay in homeostasis. It wants you to stay in the familiar zone, in the predictable zone. But at the end of the day, you're manifesting through the field of possibilities and potentiality. So you're actually going towards an uncertain territory, which is the opposite of certainty, which is the opposite of what you currently know. Now, this might not even be new information for you. So what I want you to really recognize is that how many of us, I'm going to ask you guys to comment on everything at this point now, because I want you to comment below. How many times have you had an epiphany of like, that is it? I'm going to assume this to be true, and you feel like this rush of dopamine, this rush of feel good, like, yes, I feel great. But then you have a hard time maintaining it, right? You're maintaining the attitude, like one disappointment, two disappointment, like you have the dopamine rush and it goes down, right? So I want you to recognize that this happens and to not take it personal. What you want to do is retrain your brain. By every single day, you want to set a positive intention when it comes to your assumption. We actually do this whole process inside my journal, Step Into the Chrysalis. I won't get too deep into that, but what you're doing when you're setting the intention first thing in the morning, and you're saying, today I am seeking the evidence that what I desire desires me. Today I am open to the field of possibilities. Today I embrace the love that I desire in my life. Today I am that empowering content creator. Whatever it is, your assumption, set the intention that this is where your focus goes. Now, why is this so important? First of all, it activates what we know as the reticular activating system, which basically, it's like how you scan, delete, and distort reality. You're always scanning, deleting, and distorting reality. And why this is so powerful to maintain every single day, even on the days you're disappointed, is that you begin to actually pick up on cues that go inside your mind and your body to pick up on how your assumption is actually meant for you. And it's so important to prime your brain, to prime your mind, because at any given moment, there's 11 billion bits of information. Billion or million? Million. What am I saying? Billion. 11, I was like billion, that sounds like a lot. There's 11 million bits of information that come at you. But you are only consciously absorbing something between 40 and 60. So usually we will round it up at like 50, right? And if you don't prime your brain to seek that, it's going to continuously pick up on what you're familiar. Your brain is still a record of the past. We can reprogram it, especially through hypnosis. Hypnosis is probably the fastest, most effective way to reprogram your past for it to see things completely differently. That said, you got to consciously every day prime your mind. When you do this, you literally do magnetize different scenarios to come into your life. So one fun example is, let's say you're going to a networking event and you have the assumption that you are a great businesswoman or a businessman. And as you prime your brain to potentially pick up on collaborations, you're going to pick up on things that if you had not set the intention, you would have not picked up on it. So the more you prime your brain to focus on bringing in the different elements of your assumption by setting a positive intention every single day, the more inevitable it becomes that the assumption begins to be true for you. You will just naturally begin to magnetize opportunities for that. As you're setting the intentions with every single day and you're priming your brain to pick up on the 50 bits of information throughout every single second to make it more possible for you to magnetize your assumption, you also want to really play with your nervous system. Now, for my women, especially, I'm going to link 2 videos for you below that I really want you to watch, especially when it comes to the parts where we talk about the pleasure practices, because this is something that will really help your nervous system regulation. But for everyone else, want you to really incorporate things like breath work and movement. So breath work brings you to a regulated rest and digest state. So if you simply breathe in for 4 counts all the way to your lower belly, and you exhale, lower your shoulders for a longer period of time, do this for 5-minute bits throughout the day, it is actually going to shift your perspective. This is science. Like, you can Google it if you want, or you could just trust me. You got to make your nervous system throughout the day, especially if you set an assumption that is really stretching your self-concept, to allow your nervous system to go into rest and digest, to feel safe as you're bringing in the new. Allowing yourself to feel safe is so pivotal, because if not, your body is going to confuse your new reality as something that's dangerous because it's uncertain, it's unfamiliar. But that's what you want. You're going into uncertainty. You're going into the unfamiliar. So by giving yourself the break throughout the day, especially if you're doing something challenging. So one sense of calming the nervous system, and at the same time, you want to have something with movement, whether that is doing physical activity, like I love going to the gym, I love lifting weights, or running perhaps, or even like a good old rage party. I feel like I talk about this a lot on the channel. Like something that moves the energy. If there's a frustration, there's anger, like don't try to box that energy in. Don't try to meditate yourself out of that energy. It doesn't work. Like express it. Like you're feeling stressed and nervous, shake your body, dance, put some music, shake your ass. Like literally, someone find it. I'm sure I've seen this before. It is impossible for you to be stressed out and upset and shake your ass at the same time. Like I think there's for sure science about this. You try to shake your ass and have a frown or be upset. Like I dare you. If you've done it, I want to see a video proof. So you want to both calm the nervous system at times and use your discernment of when that is. Like, unless we work together, I can't give you advice on that. If I get to know you, I can, but like now I don't know. Sorry, I just got distracted. We have, hi Sage. She's just, she's not very impressed. Usually she sits on me, but oh well. Okay, so now the last piece I want to bring for you, it might feel like it's coming from left field, but I feel like this is such a big one and it just needs to be addressed. And that is the emotional drain and leaky energy that comes from disappointment. Disappointment is a magic killer. It's a magic killer, but it's because of the relationship we have with the disappointment. It's like failure. I think so many of us are programmed to resist failure. And I personally believe that this has a lot to do with high school. And if you fail a grade and you're held back and it's embarrassing and your parents punish you, like I feel like a lot of us are like got traumatized by high school in so many ways. And sorry, not to go on too much of a tangent, but I'm going to link for you a video below with a NASA study talks about like, just go watch it. It talks about how high school really does a number on a lot of us, but high school and even primary school. But the thing is that failure is a necessary part of growth. And this is something that I've also really embraced as I began weight training, where my trainer was like, you need to fail your muscle, work your muscle to the point of failure for it to be able to actually grow. So having a better relationship with failure is so important. And disappointment, which is a form of failure, but it's different a little bit, because disappointment comes when our expectations aren't met, right? And I want to break this down. What is an expectation? An expectation is a heartfelt desire plus a belief of how that heartfelt desire is meant to come to life. And I think that a lot of the times people struggle with disappointment because they make it mean that what they desire isn't meant for them. Where in fact, it's actually the belief of how that desire is meant to come to you. That is the thing that you will want to look at and change. So, my hair is still wet. I tried to dry it before this video, but it just stays wet for a very long time, you guys. Okay, so for instance, a lot of y'all want to manifest your man, you want to manifest your woman, you want to manifest that love. I'm going to in fact link the video below, how to manifest your SP. Very different than other videos on manifesting SP, I came to realize. But let's say you're calling in. You desire a love where you are seen, felt, loved, and you want that. You want to be seen, you want to be loved. You want to be understood, you want to be someone's priority. You want someone to love you, to do the things, the normal day things. You want someone to have adventures with. Like, this is what you want, right? That's your heartfelt desire. And so when you're setting up your assumption, assuming something to be true, you're taking a part of that heartfelt desire. But here's where we get tripped up. It's how we believe that this assumption and this heartfelt desire is meant to come to fruition that trips us up. So if you have in your mind that the only person that can bring you this love is some ex who really doesn't care about you, or is ignoring you, or perhaps he's even with someone else. And I say this with no judgment, because like I had that with my ex at some point, and thank goodness I let that go, because the relationship I have now is like, it blows my expectations out of the water. Like, I thought I knew what I wanted until I met my husband, and he really showed me like, whoa, like a world that I was not even like conscious of at some point, to be honest. But I did know in my heart that I do deserve a certain level of love. And I always knew with that ex, and I remember really specifically at some point deep in the relationship, being like, this man will never love me the way I want to be loved. And I felt it. But I still kept believing that he has to be the one. It's only when I let go of that belief that God was able to bring me my husband and say, listen, child, my daughter, you actually deserve so much more. Let me show you. Let me show you what you're capable of actually receiving. And so when you're disappointed, I think the magic killer is when we really think, like if you think that it's because you're never going to get that desire. But that is not true. It's not your desire. It's not the assumption. The assumption, if you have it for the heartfelt desire, that's planted by God. Like you're meant to manifest it. It's your belief and you're trying to control how and what and when exactly. That is what you need to let go. It would be like saying you're going from New York City to Milan, and the only way you will get there is by taking the Delta airline seat 17A. If I said that to you, you'd be like, girl, you're crazy. There are a lot of airlines. There's a lot of seats. What if you actually get first class? Like, why are you limiting yourself to the 17A on Delta airline? Not a very good airline, I think. I don't remember. I think I've taken it a couple times, but I'm just like, I'm showing you the crazy that happens in our mind. We get so fixated on things. But you have an assumption. Your assumption, as it comes from the heart, is your desire. When you're disappointed, stop taking it personal, surrender, let go. God, angels, universe, I'm willing to see things differently. Show me a different way. Open up my mind. I am open to new possibilities. I am open. Suddenly, the 50 bits that you're picking up go way past that 17A seat. But you got to stay open. And again, regulate your nervous system. Continue to prime your mind. Move your body. You're disappointed. You're angry. Good. Let that shit out. Don't take it so personal. Like, oh, I'm angry means I can't do it. No. Go beat a pillow. Scream. Ah! Like, just let it out. Breathe. Let yourself be. Like, enjoy the freaking ride, you guys. Like, you know, sorry if this is coming out of left field. I feel like sometimes we get so strung up and like trying to control and our manifestations. You're manifesting things all the time. Have fun, enjoy it, like really enjoy it, and notice when you're getting too serious and you're like it's taking over like everything. Like you need to let it go to a certain extent. You need to have fun. You need to breathe in relaxation. You need to exude your energy in a more productive way than sitting and feeling like this. Okay, I'm done. I love you. Drop a like, a comment, let your girl know how this video felt. And again, I'm inviting you inside the It's Possible community. We go way deeper than what I just did in this video inside our training of our self-concept. And until the next video, I'm sending you so much love.